How to build your teacher web page. Let's go ahead and start off by typing in carrilloelementary.smusd.org in the URL. Click onto the login on the far right side in the black ribbon. It'll prompt you for your username and password, which is the same as your email address or your email access. And once you're logged in, you should then see a ribbon across the very top with 4 colorful dots that's titled Design Mode. If you don't see this black ribbon across the top, that means that you haven't been given access to alter your web page. If you do see a ribbon across the top of your page that's titled Design Mode, then you are ready to get started. Let's go ahead and start by turning on the design mode. Anytime that you're trying to alter your web page, that green button needs to be on. Next, you have down here in the gray section are called blocks. These blocks can be is what you use to drag and then drop to build your website. Let's go ahead and go to Staff Directory. Once you're on Staff Directory, this is one way where you can find your web page. The fastest way, instead of going through all the different pages and looking for your name, is just to type it up. I'm going to use my name as an example. Next, you're going to find the icon that looks like a world or globe. That's the worldwide internet. And here is what your landing page will look like. I'm going to call this the landing page because it is like when you have an outline, the furthest to the left, and then these are the sub pages below it. So this is the main heading, if you will, subheading, or Roman numeral 1, and A, B, C, if you're looking at outline format. So something that's important to know is that anytime you want to see or not see or change the order of any of these sub pages, you have to be under your landing page. So at this point in time, I can go up to Page Options, go to my status of those pages, and either determine whether I want to show them or hide them. Now I just selected for the photo gallery and the useful links to be seen by the public, and here they are. If I want them to be in a different order, I click on Page Order. And you can only do this if I'm on my teacher names page, and I can just scroll that. Oops, I can move that around. And you would go to Update Page. Oops, I see that About Me page I made a little while ago. I don't want that to be seen. So because I'm under if I'm under Calendar, let me give you an example. If I'm under Calendar and I don't want Mrs. Yates to be seen, and I want to edit or change that, and I go to Page Status, which I can see as I'm in the calendar, it won't let me. And the reason for that is because you have to be under the main heading, and you find it up here in this black ribbon, because you can't see it here anymore. So it's up this next file or file cabinet, if you will. To open that up, and then you can be able to make the changes. So I'm going to change, I don't want to see that About Mrs. Yates page, and I'll hide it because I'm still working on it. Okay. So now let's say I want to make an About Me page. So that was my old one, so I'm going to make a new one. So I forgot to get rid of that. What you're going to do under Mrs. Yates, under your main heading or your landing page, you'll go to Page and Add a Page. In this case, you'll probably just spawn a content page. You'll name it Meet Mrs. Yates. Okay, and then Create. That's all you have to do. And then you'll pop up this, and scroll up and down. This is where you want to start editing your work. Typically what I like to do is I like to just type everything up. So welcome to second grade. And this is Lisa's class. I am so thrilled to be your teacher. And then you would just go on to be your teacher. Then what I like to do is I like to select it all at one time. I typically center it, and then if you want this to be larger, you highlight that. Go into your top left corner. I usually do heading 2, and then maybe this one might be heading number 3. There's such a big gap, so I'm going to go into the center here. I don't like that big gap, so I'm going to get rid of it. Sometimes what I like to do is I will put my cursor at the end of the heading or that section, and I'll go right here to these little lines, black, black, blue, black, black, and click it, and it adds a horizontal line, which I think is nice in delineating the space. Oftentimes when it adds certain pieces, you'll end up with extra lines. You kind of have to play with, extra spaces. There we go. I want a picture, so I'm going to put it above here as I press return. Okay, to insert a picture, you go to this icon on the left. It's a little white square with a mountain. Click on it, and you can drag an image from the internet to your desktop or a photograph from your desktop. If you want, or if it's a cloud. I haven't tried the cloud, but you could try that. I'm going to do upload, select, and I'm just going to pick this one for now. And open. Once it turns green, upload. You're not quite done yet. It's going to tell me I haven't already this one. So do you want. Here's the next important piece is that you need to click on what's called properties. And the reason for this is that the tools that are used to be able to enlarge the text is called JAWS, and JAWS reads HTML. And if there's an image, it can't read that image, so then it picks up on the alternate text. And that program then puts the text in front of the picture so that they know what that image is. And so I'm going to write star student clip art. I sometimes like to center it right here too, so just one way to do it. Insert, and every time you add an image, it's very, very large. So I tap on it till it selects it, and then I usually go to the top left corner and I drag down and around. Then I let go because it gets to be unmanageable, and then I do it again, and that's it. So now what you'll want to do is publish it. If you save it, then it won't be seen, and you'll have it saved off somewhere. I usually publish it, and you can have a choice to hide it or not at that point. You can hide it or just publish now. And once you do that, notice this. This happens to me every time. I want to start editing again, and I can't figure out why I can't edit, and I can't figure out where all my little drag and drop buttons went, and it's because whenever you publish, the design mode turns off. So you just have to kind of remind yourself, like, am I in design mode? And that could be your first troubleshooting. Now here, I can see my Mrs. Yates. I can start editing. So when I drag on top, I see that little blue pencil, and then I can add more to it. And as soon as I'm done, I can then publish it and then continue on. What's nice too is that you can go to this little desktop, click on it, and you'll be able to see what it looks like to viewers and to the public on your desktop, on your tablet, and what it'll look like in the photo, so that way you know, oh, you don't have the boy with the green shirt is cut off. So how do I fix that? And you either resize it, or I noticed that on the career website when I went and I clicked on mobile, somehow the picture of the school came down in size accordingly, and so I'm sure that I think that must be some type of code. I haven't figured out yet how to align it with what device you're on and self-adjust. I just adjusted it so that I knew it would work for sure. So I'm just going to make it smaller, publish it, and see if he's cut off or not. But I will investigate further to see if now he's all on there. That's good. Close this out. This is just a view mode, so we want to close that out and get back to editing. So far we've learned how to add a page, how to change it via the editing tool. You can add another content on top by simply dragging and letting it drop. It can be a different set of information. You can use tabs and map, and there's lots of different other components that are available when you start exploring. But I think for right now, the basic, creating a page that says all about me, and then you can create another page called supply list or URL list, create, green light is on. I've got my content block ready to go. Second, create a list. I'm going to then center it. Oops. And I'm going to highlight it or select it. Make it heading 2. Add a horizontal line. Maybe a fun picture beforehand with supplies. Maybe down here. Bullets. Make a list, or you can center it and not have bullets. Lots of options. And then publish. Publish now, or you can hide it if it's not quite done. So I create a playlist. Now, you may not see, why don't we see the other pages? Meet Mrs. Yates. Here's Meet Mrs. Yates. Why isn't it listed? Oh, the supply list ended up as a subpage under Meet Mrs. Yates. Do you know why? Oh, this happened to me the first time I did it. I couldn't figure out why. It's because when I created the supply list, I was not under my landing page. I was under Meet Mrs. Yates. Does that makes sense? So if I go under Meet Mrs. Yates, my supply list is gone, but it can be found under here. So here's Roman numeral 1, A, B, C, D, E, and then supply would be, what was that little letter? Little a. Big A, little a. So what do you do then? This is what you do. You have to go all the way back to your landing page, because only at your landing page can you hide other pages. So, oh, no, see, if I hide that, it'll hide Meet Mrs. Yates. So now we have to go to Meet Mrs. Yates, because it was under there. Oh my goodness. And then look at the page status of that particular set. So I'm going to hide the supply list. So you basically have to go from the overarching file that's within that your page is inside of to manage it. And that is it for the first lesson.